Jacksonville Jaguars fans, welcome into Duval Daily presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan DeLuca. Thanks so much for being here Monday, November 24th. Happy Victory Monday, back for the second show of the day. Very excited to get into it here. Jaguars take down the Cardinals 27-24 in overtime. They get to 7-4. There's a lot more talking about this game that needs to be done. I've rewatched it I've rewatched it twice now. Watched it obviously live as well. So I've been watching this game quite a bit. And the Jaguars are now 7-4. They're in second place in the AFC South. They are one game behind the Colts. They have two games against the Colts coming up, so they control their own destiny. They're in sixth place in the AFC. They're in the wild card right now. So it's a pretty good day to be a Jacksonville Jaguars fan. There's no doubt about it. Victory Monday. We have a Victory Monday sale over at GenJag.com. 27% off everything with code DUVAL. That's 3 U's, DUUUVAL. 27% off everything, GenJag.com. You can also like and subscribe if you want to support the channel. So really appreciate y'all being here. Offensive standouts today. We'll do defensive standouts as well. And in both of these, I'm actually at the end going to also talk about like the issues, in my opinion, with the offense from this win against the Cardinals. Not really pervasive issues like throughout the year, but just like the issues with this offense, specifically against the Cardinals. And we'll do the same thing with the defense later on. We'll also have Jack recapping what's going on as well tomorrow, I believe. Jack McFall, who's doing a great job, journalism student, doing a show for us every week. Shout out to him. But Jaguars offensive standouts in this game. Let's get into it. Travis Etienne. Touched on this a little bit earlier, but the literal nuisance on Twitter about Travis Etienne's injuries and this and that, and people want Bashal Tutin to be this fantasy league winner. It's like, dude, don't make real football about fantasy football, right? That's my issue. If you want to talk fantasy, but like, don't extrapolate what happens on a Wednesday practice where Travis Etienne, and by the way, Bashal Tutin was limited as well. They were both limited at times throughout the week. Don't like try to extrapolate that and make that some case for Bashal Tutin. That's not real. Like, wait to see what's actually happening. And then also like Adam Schefter taking an injury report or game status report that says, Bashal Tutin, no game status. And tweeting, Jaguars running back Bashal Tutin does not have an injury status heading into this weekend's game. It's like, look right by him on that report. Neither does Travis Etienne. What are we doing here? I digress. Travis Etienne. And it pisses me off too because it's been all year. All year, since the moment they drafted Bashal Tutin. And I love Bashal Tutin. And I love Travis Etienne. And I love LeQuint Allen. We're going to talk about what LeQuint Allen did today too. But Etienne was awesome. And, I think they probably should have run the ball a little bit more in this game. It was balanced. I mean, it definitely was pretty balanced. 30 passes. Trevor Lawrence had 5 runs. Some of those were designed runs. So like it was legitimately part of the run game, not just a scramble. It wasn't a drop back that ended up being a run. Like there was legitimate Trevor Lawrence run calls, which is cool to see. It was pretty balanced overall. I think on a day like this one, maybe you could lean a little bit more into the run, but I don't think Liam Cohen deserves much blame at all. I think he called a really good game outside of the play call on 4th and 1. Which was really like 4th and 2. I don't know why it was called 4th and 1, but I digress. Travis Etienne, 5.7 yards per carry. He had a 45-yard run on the first drive of the game. That was really cool to see. So what is his actual average without that? So that's 14 carries for 41 yards. 2.92 outside of that. So that run really was the big one. But there was multiple runs where, you're just making a guy miss, you're wiggling off of a tackle, you're picking up everything that's possibly there. I thought the Cardinals' run defense, even though they ended up allowing 4.8 yards per carry, was pretty strong outside of Trevor Lawrence having some good runs and Travis Etienne having the really big run. But Etienne just continues to be consistent for the Jaguars. And yes, he did have a drop, which it was on him. Absolutely. He had a drop. He also had a touchdown catch. He ended up with 100. He had 30 yards receiving and 86 yards rushing. So, 116 yards. You don't take away the 45-yard run because the 45-yard run happened and it set up a touchdown. Travis Etienne touchdown on a catch and run. So he had a huge first drive and he had a very workmanlike game the rest of the game. And he did a really good job for the Jaguars. And I just commend him for staying the course this year. Obviously, it is a contract year. I would love to see him back in Jacksonville following this year. I think that would make a lot of sense for all parties involved to have him back. But, just the job he's done this year and the job he did in this one, specifically on the first drive with the explosive plays, but just going back to the well over and over and over again with Travis Etienne, it's been good for the Jaguars this year, for sure. He was the only standout in the run game outside of Trevor Lawrence on some of these runs. Tootin, they slowed him down. Allen only had one carry. He didn't get much on that, but the Jags still had 134 yards rushing on 4.8. They figured it out. So the run game continues to be good. Again, kudos to the Cardinals for playing tough against the run outside of that first drive, really. They did play pretty tough. But Travis Etienne, definitely a standout for me. I wouldn't say he's like the top standout. I would actually say the number one standout for me is Brenton Strange. He was so good. First came back, and he didn't even play the whole game because the Jaguars were nervous about putting too much on him, having out there for too many snaps. But Brenton Strange was targeted 5 times. He caught the ball 5 times for 93 yards, including a 30-yarder. He had big play after big play after big play after big play. He made people miss. He caught everything thrown his way. He's tough. He's physical. Could he have gotten a little bit more of the safety on the first fumble? Maybe, yeah, you could probably say that. But I thought he was everything the Jaguars needed and more for this offense. I mean, he's so good. To me, he and a couple other guys we're going to talk about here are really establishing themselves as the go-to receivers for the Jags. And that's exciting to have, a feeling of having some go-to receivers. I think that's really big. We're going to get into those receivers and the offensive line play as well and some of the negatives from this performance. But first, got to talk to y'all about Underdog Fantasy. Football season, it's in full swing. It's over halfway over. Underdog is the best place to make picks and win money all season long. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like touchdowns, receiving yards, interceptions, and more. Next stop, Monday Night Football. Kind of an interesting Monday Night Football game tonight. You have the Carolina Panthers, who the Jaguars beat in week 1. Should have beaten by 30 points, but the Jaguars had some self-inflicted wounds, of course. At San Francisco, another team the Jacksonville Jaguars have beaten. And that's a fun matchup for a lot of reasons. There's a lot of fantasy implications, sure. Definitely a lot of players to look at those hires and lowers. You can also now look at team picks on Underdog, which is really fun. I enjoy that part of it as well. Kind of the total package there. I think Underdog is the best place to play online. Absolutely love it. Download the app today and sign up with the promo code DuvalDaily to score $100 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. That's promo code DuvalDaily, underdog. Make picks, win money. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7-HOPE line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. Shout out to Underdog Fantasy. So, talked about Brenton Strange as a receiver, and he's much more than a receiver. He did a lot yesterday. He was good in the blocking department as well. Overall, he was. But Jakobi Meyers, such a stud. Such a stud. It's crazy how effective he has been for the Jaguars in just 3 games. Traded mid-season, right before the trade deadline. And he's been giving it his effort as a run blocker. You saw that in this one. But more importantly, as a receiver, he has been targeted 15 times and caught 12 passes. He hasn't had one of these days where he pops off for 100 yards and 6, right? But in this game, he was targeted 6 times, 4 catches, a touchdown. Had Calais Campbell not gotten his mitt on a Trevor Lawrence pass, you're probably talking about maybe 2 touchdowns for Jakobi Meyers in this one. But he just continues to play really good football. He had 2 contested catches in this game, 3 first downs. So you're talking about 15 targets and 9 first downs for this guy who, again, just got here less than a month ago, or right about a month ago now. It's just been such a blessing to see him play football for the Jaguars. Professional wide receiver, and another professional receiver that has developed before our very eyes, Parker Washington. Not only is he the most dangerous punt return weapon in football now, which he absolutely is at the moment, also a really good receiver. And he's made some big plays in the clutch for the Jaguars. He did that again in this game. Parker Washington. Slot fade super late in the game. Or not a slot fade, actually. Slot fade is just usually what comes out because that's what the Jaguars used to do all the time. But it was a fade as an outside receiver. And Lawrence put it up for him. He went and got it over the defender. He had 5 catches on 6 targets for 71 yards and a critical touchdown late in the game. Good route against Garrett Williams. What else can you say about this guy? He just continues to make plays for the Jaguars. And since he has become like a more prominent part of the Jaguars passing game, he's been really good for the most part. The one game against, he's had a couple bad games, but he's had a lot more good games. And so you go back to the game against the Rams wasn't very good. Game against the Texans early in the season wasn't very good, but he's been rolling. I mean, the last month, he has been rolling for the Jaguars and playing really good. And again, what he's been doing as a returner on top of the receiving, it's been so cool to see. Parker Washington, Brenton Strange, 2 Penn State teammates getting the job done in Jacksonville. And that's your big 3 right now. Don't know when Brian Thomas Jr. is going to be back. You'd think it would be soon. When he is back, yeah, you get him on the field, but your 3 primary targets right now, even when he comes back, in my opinion, are Jakobi, Parker, and Brenton. Those are the guys you can rely on. Those are the guys that have shown you can rely on them this year. You work Brian Thomas Jr. back in and you try to get that roll going and get him stretching the defense out a little bit, because that's one thing the Jaguars offense really does need. But those are the guys you can really rely on right now in the passing game. Interior of the offensive line kicked butt. Big time. My 2 guys, Hainsey and Cleveland, they continue to just be maulers and really pair up well together. Like, they do a great job on combo blocks and doubles, and they do a great job being aggressive and pushing guys down the field and all that good stuff. But, Patrick McCary had a good game too. He had a good one. So the entire interior of the offensive line, I give a lot of credit. I also think, Wyatt Milam had to go out there for a little bit. Kudos to him for getting the job done when he was out there. Walker Little, he did a good job. Good job at left tackle. Cole Van Lannon did a good job too overall. Now, we'll talk about some issues with the protection in the first half. I don't necessarily think it was like an individual player's performance. So I want to give the entire offensive line, that standout performance. So Cole Van Lannon shouldn't be having to play. He is because of Anton being injured, and he's doing a good job. Walker Little, for how poorly he played against the Texans, he's played pretty damn good the last 2 weeks. That's a roller coaster for the season for sure. Don't really know what to do with it, but this was a good one. This was a really good one for the Jaguars offensive line. And again, the running game wasn't great, but they were doing enough to churn yards and keep the offense in a decent situation, I felt. And again, they popped a couple big ones as well, and they protected well. So good stuff there. And that leads us to the problems with the offense. You have to start with the Trevor Lawrence turnovers. 100%. They were awful, having 4 turnovers in a game. You could look at a couple of them individually and say, was that bad? But when you stack all of them together, it's just like, this is horrible, horrible, horrible. Of course, Trevor Lawrence had some standout moments, clutch moments, great drives, etc., whatever, but he cannot he cannot be on the standout in a positive way. His performance was a standout in a negative way for a lot of the game because of the 4 turnovers. Cannot have that. He has 16 turnovers in 11 games this year, which just can't have it. Got to get better. Got to play better. Cannot have that. I'm still riding with him. I'm not saying bench him, but you got to be better. All right, so drops. The drops crept back in today. You had 3 drops in this one, which is too much, but that's what it was. It was 3 drops, drop rate of 14.3. That doesn't even include Tim Patrick not looking for the football. So your players that are not your top 3 receivers right now, again, your top 3 receivers, Parker, Jacoby, Britton, the guys that are not among that top 3 really kind of crapped the bed when targeted in this game. Again, Johnny Munt had a drop. Travis Etienne had a drop. Tim Patrick had a drop. And a complete blunder. So that was problematic for sure. Protection scheme in the first half, the rules just got broken. And it got cleaned up. It did. But the rules got broken a little bit where the way the Cardinals were dialing up some pressure packages was just, the Jaguars looked unprepared for them. So kudos to them for cleaning it up. But that was a problem in the first half, that especially on third down. And part of that led to turnovers, or at least that led to a turnover, the first turnover. Of course, Trevor could have gotten the ball out quicker, should have gotten the ball out a little bit quicker, but it wasn't like he was holding on to it all day either. So I believe he was waiting for the clear path because there was some rush. There was some guys that could potentially have gotten a hand on the ball that were rushers had he released it earlier. And not trying to make excuses for Trevor because 4 interceptions is egregious. It's absolutely egregious. But 3 touchdowns as well. I mean, it's an absolute roller coaster. Crazy stuff. But the Jags get the win. They're 7-4, in control of their own destiny. I mean, what else can you ask for? I mean, you can ask for clean performances. You can ask for a whole lot of things. But as of right now, brand new regime, first year head coach, first year GM, first year everything. You're 7-4. Control your own destiny. You got Tennessee coming up. Can't beat it. Appreciate y'all being here. If you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe. Y'all have a good one.